guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan, that's Tyler, that's Jordan. And in this video, we're going to be doing a deep dive for the Miami Dolphins. We know we got a lot of subscribers, people who see our videos that are Dolphins fans, so we're excited to do this one for you guys. And the Dolphins are a team that made a lot of moves. They had a boatload of draft picks, spent big in free agency, and things are looking bright for them now and in the future, so we're going to break them down for you.
Yeah, the last time, as Ryan mentioned it, we talked about the Dolphins in our offseason Outlook series, which is a different series. This is kind of the post-series to that we call the Deep Dive series. That was our most viewed video on our channel. Lots of likes. We're hoping you guys can all come back, watch it again. So stick around, and we're going to talk about your Dolphins team, what we think about them in 2020. Obviously, the addition of Tua Tagovailoa is going to be something that we're going to talk about a lot. So let's start off with their first-round pick in Tua Tagovailoa. What do you guys think?
Yeah, this is a great spot to start. This is a big story around this team. Now, obviously, this team has been tanking, or it looked like they were tanking last year. They are in a rebuild mode, and as long as I know Ryan does, and I'm sure Tyler does too, but I know me and Ryan are more high than some other people are. We both like what the Dolphins are doing with the roster. Tyler does too, I guess he says. But we all like what the Dolphins are doing with the roster. They've had a pretty good rebuild so far, and a huge part of it is this guy Tua Tagovailoa, who they drafted despite the injury, whatever that stuff. They drafted him, even though they know he's injury prone. There we go. That's what I was looking for this whole time. So he's going to be a key for this team. He's a great quarterback. It's going to be interesting to see when he starts, if he'll start right away, if Ryan Fitzpatrick or even Josh Rosen could step in for a few games, just let him sit there for a little bit. If I'm them, I don't start him right away, but it's a huge story when you guys talk about Tua.
Well, there's plenty of things to like about Tua and his career. We've seen him play in a lot of big games. The AFC East is going to be competitive this year. Maybe the Patriots decline a little bit, but the Bills are really starting to show some lights. And I think the Dolphins are starting to get better and better secretly under the radar. Brian Flores is doing good with his team, so watch out for Tua to eventually get put in, maybe not be the starter in week 1, but be a good player in some close games because he's used to it.
Yeah, and he's really in a great spot because he doesn't have to be rushed in. There's no really sense of urgency, like you have to be the week 1 starter, especially because we're not probably going to have as many on-field practices. The training camp might look a little different. The off-season is now virtual. So, yeah, it makes you wonder how soon we will see Tua. You know, look at guys like Joe Burrow will probably start week 1, but is that the same for Tua? You just don't know because they've already got the veteran Ryan Fitzpatrick, and they still have Josh Rosen, who I still think deserves a shot in the league, whether it be with Miami or elsewhere. So he's definitely going to be in a spot where they're not going to rush him on field.
Yeah.
All right, so we may go back to Tua throughout this video, but while we're talking about the offense, let's talk about some of the weapons that Tua has. Let's first go to a really underrated wide receiver who got into a feud over the internet with Michael Thomas. Sorry if you hear some lawn mowing going on outside. I hope you can't hear it, but if you can, we do apologize for that. But anyways, let's go back to what I was talking about. And who I was talking about is the wide receiver Devontae Parker. He's been in the league for a little bit, has never really had a standout year. But last year, towards the end of the season, he was playing some very good football. His name got thrown out there, like I said before, in his feud with Michael Thomas. So he'll have that pressure to go out there and play good after getting smack talked by Michael Thomas. But he was a guy that was really good towards the end of the season. I remember I was playing against him in fantasy. He's like, why is this guy doing so good this week? And I went back and I was like, oh, he's been doing good for a while. And it's just weird because on the Dolphins, you really wouldn't expect many people on that team to get many fantasy points to do that well because there really was nobody there. I mean, maybe you could have got some guy that was doing something. He was very much the lone star on this team last year, at least on the offense for sure. Their defense is getting built a little bit, but on the offense, Devontae Parker was the guy. I think he's going to be a great wide receiver. He's a few years in, but I think he is in his prime right now. He's got a young quarterback and a good quarterback to help him out and do better this year. And some decent other wide receivers around him. He's got Albert Wilson and Preston Williams as well. Those two maybe not as much.
Alan Hearns is in there also.
Alan Hearns is in there as well. So those ones aren't as no names around the league. Alan Hearns maybe and Albert Wilson, two that I know. I've heard of Preston Williams before. But a decent squad of wide receivers. And then they also got they got Jordan Howard from the Eagles, who was with the Bears. You guys can take that one.
Yeah, well, speaking from experience of watching plenty of Jordan Howard's games, This might have been 2 years ago from now. It is 2 years ago from now. Really the last time I got to watch a full game of Jordan Howard do his work. But even then, you can see a lot of great things from Jordan Howard. I don't know why the Bears traded him for whatever it was, a 6th-round pick. He's better than that, and I know running backs usually, they run out of gas within 5 or something years of their career, but Jordan Howard's a guy that hasn't had that many carries. He split time in Philadelphia and with Tariq Cohen in Chicago, so there's still plenty left in him, and I can see him having a good season. And they helped with the offensive line, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a bit as well, and that's a huge help.
You talked about him splitting carries. He's going to split carries again with the Dolphins because the Dolphins did trade for Matt Breida, the running back, out of the 49ers, out of San Francisco.
And Kalen Ballage.
And Kalen Ballage and Patrick Laird as well. So it's going to be a 3-4-headed backfield in Miami. That's going to be fun to watch. I think Jordan Howard will be the headline of it. Matt Breida will come in for some of those speed plays, maybe some receptions as well, because I know Jordan Howard did have some problems with receptions. He also did have some injury problems last year. But this is a guy that in his first 2 years with the Bears, I think he got 1,000 yards each time. Maybe got 900 one of the times. I'm not really sure. I actually don't know how long he was with the Bears. I think it was 2 years. But he put up production a lot, even when he was injured last year. When he was in, he was doing good things. I think this is a running back that is really under the radar in the NFL and really help out this Miami offense.
Yeah.
And you look at what Miami has built there. I expect them to kind of try and run an offense a little bit similar to what Tua had at Alabama last year, because the two main concerns with him were, one, obviously the injuries, which I feel like they addressed the offensive line a lot, so I think that kind of will help keep him upright a little more, so that's good. But then also some people said, he's just a product of Alabama's system. He's not that good by himself. But I actually expect Miami to try and kind of refute this by trying to run kind of a similar system to what Alabama ran for Tua. They ran a lot of RPOs. They got the ball out of his hand quickly a lot with the slants, the posts. They had a lot of good receivers there, but I really think it's going to be fun to watch Miami and Brian Flores trying to kind of make this offense work for Tua, because I think it's all going to revolve around him. There's a reason they drafted him that high. There's still a lot of question marks with the health and how well he will translate to the league after he's just a system receiver type of, or system quarterback type of claims. But I really think that it's going to work out well, especially in the beginning. I do think he reached his peak in college, but as far as right now is concerned, I think he's in a great spot, and I think that team's going to be a lot better this year.
Yeah, all around.
Yeah, there are two more things I wanted to mention on the offensive side of the ball. First, I'll mention the offensive line. Last year, they did trade Laramie Tunsil to Ryan's Texans, but they have built up the line a bit since, especially in this draft, using, I think it was their second pick in the first round,
18th
pick overall. There you go. They got Austin Jackson. So they'll definitely help him out at the left tackle position. Then the rest of the guys are pretty solid too. Eric Flowers, Ted Karras, Shaq Calhoun, and Robert Hunt. All some good guys. And then one more guy that I wanted to mention. This is one that I really like. I think this is going to be his standout year. This is someone, when he was drafted, I compared this guy to Jimmy Graham a lot. Even though I really never watched film on him, I just knew that he was tall and big and reminded me of Jimmy Graham when he was actually good, not when he's bad. And I'm saying that when he's on my team, the Bears. So I can still throw hate at Jimmy Graham. Unless he does something good for us, then I like him. But so far, no. But he does remind me of Jimmy Graham when he was in his prime. He's got that size. He's
Who are you
strong.
talking about here, just to clarify?
It's Mike Gesicki.
That's what I thought.
It is Mike Gesicki. I think he's going to be a great tight end on this team. When I play Madden, I am a quarterback for the Dolphins, so I have a connection to this squad because I play with a lot of these names. Mike Gesicki is a huge target. I love targeting that tight end in Madden. He does good in Madden. I think he's going to do good with Tua as well. So just got to give my long shout out to Mike Gesicki because I think he's going to have a standout year, just like Devontae Parker, the running backs, and really this whole offense. I think they'll do pretty good. Maybe not like phenomenal, flashy, but I think they're still going to have a decent year.
Yeah, one thing you didn't mention on the offensive line, I don't think you said Solomon Kinley. They drafted him in the 4th round. He was an underrated guy as well. Not a lot of great guards in this draft, but he was one of the better ones, and they got him in the 4th. So I do want to talk about that. I did want to talk about that.
I'm looking at a depth chart right now. I just want to say they have him at 4th, I think, so I don't know what that is. But I mean, they haven't really seen him practice yet, so that's probably why.
I liked what I saw from him from Georgia, but I'm going to run through the draft here really quickly and just talk about the ones we talked about. We talked about Tua and Austin Jackson. They got their nickel corner, 30th overall with Noah Igbenogany. That might be more of an underrated one. I really liked that pick. Not a lot of people agree with me, but I was fine with it. And then
I still think it should have been a safety, but that's just me.
You could definitely be right
both of those
about
stud guys on the board. Like, you could have had
because they just got Byron Jones.
Especially with that. That's the one position they really didn't get a stud guy at, in my opinion, this offseason.
They
no
did.
Disrespect to Brandon Jones.
They got Raekwon Davis. This was with, I don't know what round that was in, but that was a good pick as well. 2. Yeah, that was round 2. And then they did draft a safety in round 3, Brandon Jones. That was not a bad one. We talked about Solomon Kinley, Jason Strobridge, Curtis Weaver, Blake Ferguson, and Malcolm Perry were their draft picks this year. They had a pretty good draft overall. Let's move on to their defense now. We talked about their offense. Let's go to the other side of the ball.
Well, when we start with the defense, let's talk about the things that they did during free agency, because they did bring quite a few people in on the defensive end of the ball. One of those guys, Byron Jones, who I did mention earlier, if you heard while Ryan was talking, cornerback. He was with Dallas before. Then they brought some other guys in as well. Where is he? I should know his name. They brought Kyle Van Noy. There it is. Out of the Patriots. That's the one that I really like. I think he's an underrated linebacker. I think he'll do very well being reunited with Brian Flores. And then some other guys as well who I am blanking on.
You got Shaq Lawson.
Shaq Lawson. Yeah, absolutely.
We talked about Strobridge and Weaver on the defense for the drafted. Yes. And Raekwon Davis as well.
Yep. So they have a lot of new faces on that defense. It's really changed with Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator in the past with the Patriots. Now with as the head coach of the Dolphins, they're really going heavy on defense, getting some good defensive names out there, as well as the offense, which he's talked about. But they got some good people out there. Someone that really needs to be mentioned, Xavier Howard, who DeAndre Hopkins didn't know who he was 2 years ago, and honestly, neither did I. But now I know who he is. I think he's a great corner. I think he's going to line up good with Byron Jones and Noah Igbenogany.
Got a lot of good corners.
Yeah, and Noah Igbenogany, when he gets in there, like Ryan said, they could have gone a safety position. The 2 safeties are Eric Rowe and Bobby McCain, which are names that I've heard before, but they're not like standout crazy people. I think that maybe instead of going Igbenogany, they could have gone a safety since they had any of them that they really wanted at that point to take. But they didn't choose to do that, and that's their choice, and they'll work around it. So, the defense. You guys have any more points about defense?
Yeah, you're right about that. And what they could do with Noah Igbenogany, they could move him to safety. He is kind of short, but you could talk about Antoine Winfield. I don't know what their heights are, but they're relatively the same size. And he was one of the better safeties in college last year.
It would make sense to do this because Noah Igbenogany has that speed. He was the kick returner, so he does have that speed. He can play good while watching the quarterback.
I don't think they'll completely convert him to a safety, but they could definitely put him back there.
Who knows? Maybe they drafted him for the purpose of converting him to a safety. Brian Flores
but with both safeties on the board, why would you just take a natural safety?
If one gets hurt, then they have some nice backups. There's a nice backup in him.
With both of those, with any safety still on the board, I just don't know why, especially after you traded away Minka Fitzpatrick. That's the one position you still had that gaping hole at. Not a bad pick, Igbenogany, but, should have gone with the safety at pick 30 overall.
Yeah. And one more name I wanted to mention on the defensive side of the ball, and you guys can say anything else. Christian Wilkins, I think he's going to have a good year this year. If you've been watching some Instagram stuff, there's been posts about him and his excitement that he brings to the game of football. He's a fun player.
He was the one that hugged. He was the one that hugged Roger Goodell.
He was the one that hugged. He was the one that hugged Goodell at Clemson when they won the national championship. He was doing a cool dance that I think it was him where there was a game where he was trying to find his mama in the crowd. So he's quite a character and someone that I think is going to be really good on the football field for the Dolphins. So that's just one more name I wanted to mention. But that's defense all around is a pretty solid group of men.
Yeah, it is. And let's talk about the special teams really quickly.
Yeah. We got to talk about the special teams because if you were here last year watching football, they had a really cool play with the special teams.
They did. And it involved a whole... was their kicker and their punter, too, I believe?
Matt Hack, Jason Sanders. Yeah. I think... Who caught it? Was it Sanders who caught it?
I can't remember the exact play, but it looked cool. And then also...
Long snapper,
Blake Ferguson was the long snapper they actually drafted. I think... they got him, relatively early on in the draft for a long snapper. I think he was the only one drafted. He was one of the only people I didn't know who got drafted, but he's a long snapper. You do need those, though, and I'm assuming he's good because he was the first one taken, I believe. So it looks like they have a nice special teams unit going there. As well with people they drafted, I'm sure they will get added to that special teams unit. I'm sure Noah Igbenogany will be one of those as well. That'll be fun to watch. So overall, now we've talked about their roster. You look at it, we kind of think it's secret scary, I would say, in an AFC. Yeah, secretly scary. An AFC East division that's kind of up for grabs right now with the Patriots declining. Let's go through just a rough record prediction. Let's go across the table if you guys are ready for that. Not looking at the schedule or anything, just based off this roster, what do you think their record would be?
I think that they're going to have a pretty good year. I think there's a shot they slip into the playoffs, especially with the new playoff format that we have going on this year that, by the way, I'm not a huge fan of. I know Ryan has his doubts now. I think Tyler's still strongly with it. But I think there's a shot that they can slip into the playoffs. I say I give them a 9-7 record. They are in a tough division with a good Buffalo team and a Patriots team that everyone says they're going to go down, but hold on, Bill Belichick is still on that team.
Right.
They have a plan, and they're going to do some things right. They're going to win football games this year. Bill Belichick is one of the greatest coaches to ever coach this game. They're not going anywhere. They might not be as good, but they're still going to compete in the AFC East. So I'm going to give them a record prediction of 9-7 for now.
All right, Ryan.
Yeah, I expect a big leap for Miami this year. You know, Jordan, I'm right there with you. I'm going to go 9-7. I think that gets them into the playoffs as a wild card. I don't think they're the best team in that division. I think that Buffalo's going to be a little bit higher than them in the standings, but I think that they are ready. You know, I know they're still relatively young, but I think Brian Flores is a great coach. They literally won 5 games when they were supposed to be tanking. So I think this team takes the jump, goes 9-7, sneaks into the playoffs.
Especially, I just wanted to add on to something you said there because that was a good point just for the video purposes of it. But they won 5 games this year, and most of those games were towards the end of the year.
I don't think they were actually tanking.
I think
they were expected to be historical.
I think their GM wanted them to tank, and Brian Flores and Ryan Fitzpatrick did not want that to happen.
Yeah, but they're competitors. That's what you love to see. When they had time to play with each other, especially towards the end of the season, that's where they started playing pretty well. Like I talked about, Devontae Parker was playing good at the end of the season. So when they got time to play together, that's when they got good. So I think it's just a matter of time before this team really clicks together and becomes something great.
Yeah. I'm not going to be as good as what you guys said with the 9-7 record, but I'm right behind you. I think right now with a rough record of 8-8, I don't completely see them making the playoffs. Yet I think they still need time. The transition for Tua Tagovailoa might take a little bit of time. I think they still need to develop their wide receiver room a little bit. I think that could be what's holding them back. But we've seen tremendous improvement from this roster, and I would not be surprised if we're watching them in January. If that's the case, you know.
I think Albert Wilson's going to be good at the wide receiver position. Maybe that's biased because I use him a lot in Madden, like I talked about, but I think he's pretty good.
Yeah, and nonetheless, even though I'm not having the playoffs, I really do like what they've done. We could come back here and talk about the 2021 season, and they could be a clear candidate for that, but that's not where we're at right now. So there it was, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy that. A deep dive for the Miami Dolphins heading into the 2020 season. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, comment down below a record prediction, anything you want to talk about with the Dolphins with these deep dive videos. We love seeing what you guys have to say. We will give you a response if you do comment. So do everything I said and hit the notification bell as well to be notified when we post a video. And with that, we will see you guys later.
See ya.